Hello, my friends. My name is Benjamin Schrader, and I want to welcome you to Shop with the Shraders. Today, we are discussing one of my favorite things, described by some as the Rolls Royce of frying pans and pots and etc. HexClad, with their integrated technology, the hexes that make things not stick. But let us first look at the knives. In the effort of full disclosure, HexClad once did reach out to me on Instagram. Actually, nothing to do with the family's work. And we're like, hey, we send you some stuff, you do a video on it. So I got an apron that I spent 2 hours trying to find and couldn't find. I have this pot right here, and then the frying pan that I've been swinging at you, along with this knife as well. And we will be discussing a lot about these. So, kicking it off, I will move these out of the way. I got a selection, a little amuse-bouche, some may say, for you from my refrigerator. Some of it has been in there for a disturbingly long amount of time. Now, as you can imagine, my mother keeps me very well stocked when it comes to the food department. That is, her thing. So, I have here a squash that I grew myself. It has been in my refrigerator for months, and I am afraid to cut it open, but we are going to cut it open. So, let us grab a HexClad knife off of their magnetic platform, and let's dig in. Oh boy, how do you even cut a squash? My mom would know, but do I do it like this? Do I do it like that? Oh, it's smushy. Wow. Okay, a little moldy, but not a lot of moldy. That was really smooth. Look at that. I grew that myself in my garden with my fertilizer, and boy, that is really cool. The tragedy is about mold is that if you can see it, the hyphae, the little tentacles isn't the right word, but roots, tendrils of the mold are already all throughout the thing, so you can't eat that. So I'm gonna give it to my fish. I do have sad news. My bass, Goliath, died. A bass I caught with my own hands. I was out of town for a bit, and poor Goliath he couldn't make it. So a tragedy, a loss for us all. Goliath, destroyer of goldfish, a smallmouth bass that I caught with my own hands, about this big. Great fish. Now, to let you guys know, these knives, this knife set, oh my gosh, was $439. Yeah, they are Damascus steel. Now, what is Damascus steel, you may be asking? So basically, the blacksmith, when forging steel, and I don't know if you can see it here, but there are little lines throughout this. They will take a brick that they make, basically, by welding together little sections of steel, and then they will put, it could be anything from, powder to strips of metal to, beads of metal. And that brick, they will then weld onto a little rod, they stick that in the furnace, and then they hammer that, fold, hammer, and boom, you have Damascus steel. Now, I forget how many layers. It was 60 something, if I remember correctly. So I don't know if it says here. I don't think it does, sadly, but a lot of Damascus steel. I know my poor mother's heart just skipped a beat when I did that. So let's see how they cut. That's pretty smooth. And I know what you're saying, Ben, in your office, why is there a kitchen table? Because I like to spread my papers around. That is why. Speaking of papers, I really should have had ready to go a piece of paper, but we might use a piece of this box here in a second. You know what? Why not? Let's see how this cuts. Okay, basically fresh knife. Oh, that slides right in. That slides right in. Here, I'll show you. Let's see. Pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Rule number one, on knife safety, of course, always cut away from yourself. That's the most important thing. It also did come with this sharpener, which is pretty neat. Now, I am more familiar with using a whetstone, which you want to remember to wet, preferably with oil, but water works too. I'm not as familiar with these, how to sharpen using these type of sharpeners that you see a lot in kitchens. Excuse me. So digging into this apple, oh, I bet I can catch it on the knife. You want to see that? Not digging into that apple, but digging into this carrot. Let's see, when I was a kid, my mom would walk me through how to properly cut things in a safe manner. So you fold the fingers and I mean, look at that. That really goes through quite nicely. No, I have to say, good knife. And I have been using them. And I've actually had this one for quite some time right here. The one that they had sent to me a long time ago. I will say, though, you will notice a loss of coloring in the wood. Minor rust on the blade, though it is the best knife I have, hands down. And then minor rust on the logo of the old one. And that, I gotta say, that is too bad, especially for the price that they are. Though I have to say, I love HexClad, and their stuff works great. Out of all the knives in my cabinet, I don't have that many. Well, I have a ton of knives, but not a lot of kitchen knives in my cabinet. Out of all the knives that I do have, though, I have a sufficient number. This one holds an edge, does a great job, and really has never given me any problems, and I've been hard on it. I mean, I've used it to crack open lobsters. I have used it for all manner of different things. And I eat a lot of strange things, so definitely this knife has gutted a cuttlefish. A cuttlefish is a type of squid looking thing. I'm not sure if it is a squid. Now let's look at the bread knife. So I should have planned this a little more beforehand, but we will toss these in there. Gonna feed these to the pleco. That is a type of catfish that eats algae and now I kind of want to eat a piece of that carrot. That eats algae and detritus on the bottom of the fish tank. Great for keeping your tank clean, though never release them into the wild because they will survive, they will grow massive. Okay, looking at the bread, let's put this guy back up where he belongs, right here. And I think this is the bread knife. Yes, it is. This baguette is hard as a rock and has been in my fridge for a concerningly long amount of time. It's still good though, and I would still eat it. Okay, well, not exactly representative of how the knife would work, but I mean, hey, it cut pretty good. It will cut, as they used to say on that Forged in Fire show. And I don't want you to worry, none of this is going to waste. And this is a lychee fruit, my friend. I know. Lychee fruits, I believe they're from Vietnam. I'm part Vietnamese myself on my dad's side, and my aunt, what is she? Aunt or yeah, must be great. Forgive me, I'm embarrassed. Cousin or aunt brought these once, and I'm thinking sea urchin. I mean, it was a little scary at first, and then I tried it. Absolutely delicious. So this is a lychee, and basically you want to crack the shell, and then they have a seed inside. And that's what they look like. Perfectly good. We're gonna eat that later. And then this is a jalapeno I grew myself. So let's see how this guy, we'll use the sharpest, oh yes, the paring knife. I've been using this knife a ton. So, oh boy. Now you have to be careful because if you touch your face or anything after cutting this, it will hurt. And we cannot feed that to the fish, so yeah. Okay, now remind me not to touch my face, friends. So, the knives, I gotta say, best knives I have in my cabinet. Best knives I have in my cabinet, hands down. This magnetic board was $129 though. I have seen knockoffs though on Amazon for a lot cheaper. But it does a great job, and it was really neat. I had a housewarming party. I had all my friends, a bunch of work associates over, a bunch of people, a bunch of clients of mine. And I gotta say, they were like, wow, that's a really cool way to store your knives. And so that made me happy because I like those types of things. And then a nice little sharpener here, and the wood is beautiful. I mean, the knives themselves are beautiful. I love Damascus steel. It's a great look. the knives have been inspected. And we are back. Of course, I had to show off the knife one more time. Look at this. I'm like a ninja with Japanese steel. Japanese Damascus steel, which is kind of funny. I don't believe that the Japanese had Damascus steel, at least during the samurai times, as I'm sure is what they're hearkening back to by having Japanese steel knives, but that is still pretty cool. The Edo period, or actually that would have been the end. That would have been the end of, I believe, the end of the samurai era. If I remember correctly, I'm not an expert on history, the history of Japan. Now you want to talk about Rome, we can be here all day. Let's talk about bowls though. These bowls were $99.99. They were $100, these bowls. They better be some very nice bowls. And I think they are. First off, they have a little cushion on the bottom here, and I'm not sure what this is made of. It's not quite fabric, and it's not quite plastic. It feels like fabric, but it's some type of rubber. Very nice. That way they don't slide around on my desk that is a kitchen table. Alrighty, popping this off, it took me a embarrassingly long time to figure out how to close these. So, we're going to take, we've got a little mom, dad, and son bowl. We're going to put this on, or we're going to make sure this is open first. We're going to place this on top. We're going to push down. We're going to push down. We're going to seal. We're going to get the last of the air out with that, and then this is just to set a date. I thought this was going to be some cool thing of like, let's cycle the air out. It's just to set a date. And also, adjustable date, this doesn't make 100% sense to me. I guess it's 0 to 30, the days of the month. But yeah, I guess that's what it must be. But what if you forget what month you put this in the fridge? You should probably throw it out. Okay, yeah, bowls, very nice bowls. And what I do like about them is they can also be used for storage. So a lot of times it's just me here. So, I'll cook something up. I'll make too much because I get overexcited and I enjoy cooking something up. So let's say I've cooked up a cuttlefish and that's not a good example. Let's say I've cooked up a sea cucumber or a roast chicken and I want to store some of it. I can pop it right in here. Put this lid on, push it down, nice and easy. Close that and boom. We're all set. And I can put that right in the fridge. My wonderful mother, as I'm sure many of you know, is an expert on food things. She made sure that I had many glass bowls, or glass sort of, they're like these container things, and you close the lids on it and you can put food in them, put them in the fridge. She sent me so many. Benjamin, I want to make sure you don't go hungry. So it's a very sweet thing, but I have tons of those. I was eating macaroni and cheese out of them earlier, and the reason we like HexClad too, at least the reason I do, and when I say we, I mean you and me, is that Teflon, we thought it was this wonder thing. We thought it was something where nothing's going to stick to it, but no, it's not the wonder thing. It breaks off as you're cooking, and I had a Teflon pan in college that I bought at like a CVS or something, and it was all scratched up and all of that. Where's it going? Inside right here. Microplastics are the lead of our time. That is a Ben Schrader original, and I will be saying that to the end of time because they're pretty bad, and Teflon technically not a microplastic. Well, kind of. It's still not good for men specifically, but not good for anybody. You don't want to be eating that stuff. It's, like a plastic and not natural. We eat whole natural foods here, traditional foods, people. So that's the nice thing about HexClad's hybrid technology. Stainless steel and Teflon combined, and it's laser engraved apparently. I was watching a few videos from the founder before this just so I could get a feel of it. So yes, these are our little bowls. So let us put them to the side or put them on the chair behind me. I got this chair, at a place called Furniture Brokers, and it's a consignment store. Great place. I forget how much I spent on it, but it wasn't terrible. It's from the Renaissance. It's got all this cool carving, and I sit in this. I do a ton of like online meetings and stuff. So I have a little tripod I set up right here, and I just sit in my chair looking all regal and such. So I enjoy that. And then I usually have my desk all set up with tons of stuff. So diving in to the hybrid deep sauté pan. Now, as someone with very severe dyslexia, when I see sauté like that, I assumed for a moment that they just completely made up a word. It looks ridiculous. I had no idea sauté looked like that. It should not look like that. And I really hope that says sauté pan too, because if it doesn't, that's going to be pretty funny. Ooh, fancy. HexClad is expensive. I will be the first to say that. It is definitely, without a doubt, expensive. This was $230. It's been a while. And so, yes, no, got all of these. You know, not paid to say this. I will be the first to say that HexClad is very expensive. Now, I like sometimes to have a bit of flair. I like to, sometimes, to my own detriment, show off a little bit, in the sense of being a bit extra. And not in a mean or unkind way, never like that. Never one to make, never would want to make my friends or people I'm just around feel bad or anything like that, or be difficult, except when I was young. God bless my parents. But what's neat about HexClad is it's the only pan, or sort of only brand that I know of pans where people who don't know about cooking are going to say, whoa, you got that? That's pretty cool. Now, Le Creuset, look at me, Mr. French over here. Le Creuset, if I'm saying it correctly, is like, if you know about cooking, you're like, oh boy, that's amazing. And where was the place that my mom used to go as a kid? Sur la Table, was it? And I got a lot of a couple Le Creuset pans, and then these real good stainless steel ones. I believe they're made by them. And they're great. I mean, just fantastic. But things do stick to them. So I got to put some butter in the pan, some olive oil in the pan, and none of that partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Oh no, good sir. No. Alrighty, I bet you this is the lid. Let's see. What even is sautéing, really? It's just cooking things briefly in a little bit of oil, maybe? I would say that that's what it is. Okay, oh boy, we almost dropped that. Okay, diving in. The packaging is very nice, and it better be for the price. Limited warranty. We'll toss that in here. Now, when I did do a HexClad video on my own for Instagram, this was quite a few months ago, I was talking about earlier, they just DM'd me. I do a lot of work on social media, and I have to say, when I got them, I was really impressed. And they have held up okay for the price. That's my only complaint, is that, the knife, the logo on the knife rusted a little bit. The pan that I have right here, it has some stains I can't get out. But I have been extremely hard on them, so that's my only sort of justification of that. I've been brutal in not taking care of them, as one perhaps should. But you'd think that they would be indestructible, but I guess, it's more delicate because it has that laser engraved hexes and stuff. I have not seen it break off at all, though, which is great. So that means that I'm not eating any horrific who knows what that's going to do who knows what later. But yeah, this really does seem quite nice. And it's got it on the bottom, too. Oh, it's got it on the bottom, too. I definitely knew that before. So, yeah, no, great sauté pan. You bust this out at a party, everybody's going to say, boy, he spent that much money on a sauté pan? He must be really cool. Yeah, no. I gotta say, it seems very nice. Deep sauté pan. I've never seen a deep sauté pan before. Well, that's probably not true, but I've never made note that it was a deep sauté pan. Now, this is with a chicken fryer lid, I believe that says. So I bet you I could pop a chicken in here, pop this in the oven, right? I think so. I mean, if it's got the hexes on the bottom too, then it must be fine for that. It's all metal, sturdy construction. Pop a little chicken in here, put that in the oven. You know, I don't use my oven too much, but definitely pop this on the stove. I love making chili. In high school, excuse me, my apologies. In high school, I used to make quite a lot of chili. Now, I would cheat a little bit because I would take sort of canned chili, and I would take like 1 or 2 cans of different types of chili, and I'd put them both in a pot. Then I would go into the pantry and I would get red and white onions, put them in the pot too. Then I would go to the garlic house, and garlic always goes in the garlic house because if you put it in the fridge, it'll get moldy. I'd open the garlic house, reach in, grab a garlic. Grab a garlic, not a clove of garlic, a garlic. I would peel the garlic, get each clove out, chop them up, toss them in the chili. Then I would raid the pantry and raid the spices. We're talking all sorts of things. Nutmeg, boom, it's going in. Cinnamon, boom, it's going in. An odd amount of pepper. An odd amount of pepper. And Himalayan salt. Or flower of the sea, what is it? How can I remember? Some French salt. And of course, as you know, with my wonderful mother being very into cooking, there was a huge, beautiful variety of different things to herbs de Provence, you know what I'm talking about, the French herbs that go great on roast chicken. And I would throw everything into that pot, cook it a little bit, put it in my thermos. When I opened that thermos, wherever I opened it, it was like everyone just wanted to get farther away from me. And why? Why? Who knows? Was it the incredibly noxious odor emanating forth from that thermos? Probably. But we'll never know. I had fun with that. I was odd sometimes. I was homeschooled up to high school, and I know you're going to say no, but I was actually quite lucky with the severity of my dyslexia. Back then, there really weren't a lot of places that could give accommodations to the level that I needed. So I had reading therapy almost every day, and without that, I don't know what I would have done. So I'm very grateful to my family for doing that because, that had to be difficult. Taking on a difficult person who doesn't want to be taught and then teaching them a lot. So, and then eventually I came around to being less difficult. Alrighty, whoa, okay. This is very nice. And let's see what this is. These are the 3 pans. So we're gonna pull up the price and then we should be all set. Now this, $400. Good golly, $400. These better be some incredible pans. And I will say, HexClad I like a lot. It is expensive. So if you're gonna get pans, let's say you get in a new house, you wanna treat yourself. You wanna have some really neat pans that stuff doesn't stick to them. And I might pop downstairs after this and take a little quick video of like frying an egg or something. Do I have any eggs? I think I have 2 eggs in the fridge. And that is only because I am sometimes irresponsible and I eat a lot of eggs. Okay, welcome to the hybrid revolution. I'll take this box off of here. And yes, this is a goblet. This is a sterling silver or pewter, I forget. Whatever it is, it has no lead in it. Goblet that I got in Scotland. The family, and we went on a pilgrimage. So that was very nice to Our Lady of Knock. They invited me, and hey, how can you say no? So, got to see some really neat places. Alrighty, the big lid. Let's put that down, get this out of the way. Warranty and care guaranteed. Oh, maybe not a limited warranty. Maybe an unlimited warranty. I like the sound of that. I don't know. Look that up. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, I broke the bag, but that's okay. That is pretty nice. That is pretty nice. I mean, sturdy pan. You know, you could definitely cook up some nice eggs, some neat things on there. And then this talks about right here, let's see. The revolutionary design of HexClad Cookware brings together form and function. It was funny in the little ad that I did it totally like a 1950s salesman. I was way over the top. And I enjoy, I mean, I'm like that half the time anyway. So, you know, you're either going to get me talking like this to you or me talking like, let's see, what is this? And this 12-inch fry pan can do, you know, those type of things. 12 inch fry pan. I usually have a ruler on my desk, but yeah, no, I could cook up some really nice things in here. You know, I like to sauté a lot of the vegetables. I will often get these like healthy frozen meals just for convenience. You know, I work really strange hours sometimes, and so I'll get these healthy, you know, they're natural sort of frozen meals, or I'll freeze something, and then I can take it out of the freezer. I will take some carrots, I will take some celery, I will raid vegetables that I have radishes the other day. I grabbed radishes out of the fridge, chop, 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 throw them in a pan, cook them up a little bit, take my regular thing, either put it in the oven, microwave, or also on the stove top. Got the vegetables, got that, butter, salt, pepper, put the vegetables on whatever I'm about to enjoy. Then I've got a really nice meal right there, like that. Something healthy, something, you know, cooking is fun. Cooking is fun. It's that act of creating and then getting to enjoy it. Alrighty, let's take out the lid for the smaller pot. And I want to apologize, I've got the mic right there, so if you hear a lot of the plastic, that is my bad. Then let's go look at this guy. We've got another lid. And we'll just put that right there. Hopefully that won't fall. And we'll get this out of the way. And no, what's neat, I do think that is a really good thing. If you have a Teflon, you know, it's that sort of black, matte black finish on a lot of different pans. That stuff breaks off and it's pretty problematic. You know, it's not good for men's health. It's not good for women's health. It's not good for anybody when it breaks off. That's why, what was it, the air fryers used to be a big thing back in the day. I mean, they're better now, I hope. But the ones that were originally made, all of that stuff would start to break off and then make people sick. Not good. Microplastic's bad. I will say sometimes, I will often say as I drink out of a plastic water bottle because it's funny. Now, this is my perfect, I'm going to be using this almost every morning to fry up 2 to 4 eggs. I like them over hard, I know. You said, what a weirdo. But over hard is the best way to go. It makes it easy to eat, no mess, no difficulty. Pop some toast in the toaster oven thing. You know, hope that you didn't turn the little knob too far and it burns again. But you keep some eggs in here and you're all set. Boy, this video is like an advertisement for the egg companies, and they're so expensive right now anyways. That is also, I guess, you know what, this is just an expensive video. Now we've got our middle of the road pan, and this is the one that I have one of. So let's compare these side by side. Let's get this little, excuse me, let's get this little guy off of here. Alrighty, so this pan I've had for a couple months, right in this hand. A good few months. And this is brand new. Brand new, couple months. They're definitely, I mean, I'm sure it could use a good scrub down, but there's some wear and tear. There is some wear and tear, and there are some stains inside that I cannot remove. Now, of course, I definitely have not followed any guidelines in taking care of this pan. And, I mean, it still works great. I was just cooking on it the other day. No sticking, no problem. I mean, I'll use butter on almost everything, so I guess if you use a lot of butter, you may not need these guys. But you know what? Still, though, with a lot of foods, I mean, you'll still get some sticking or the residue. It's difficult to get off, and then you have to try to scrub it off, and it's a whole thing. So I think you display these, you put the knives out that are on their magnetic board, and that's a pretty cool centerpiece to a kitchen. And that says to me, hey, you know, I think some of the things are worth it. I would say the bowls actually have a lot of novelty to them, in the sense that they've got this nice little grip on the bottom, and you can use them to store stuff. So if I was getting something, I would probably go with that magnetic board. Is awesome though. It's tough for me not to say the knives because, you know, it's cooler. I would say go with the bowls and the pans if you're starting out. Go with the bowls and the pans. And then see if you like them, and if you like them, go all out. So, my friends, as always, I want to thank you for shopping with the Schraders, and I will shop with the Schraders, and I will see you in the next Shop with the Schraders video.